Hello, Insightly Insiders. I'm Brian Hanna, Customer Success Manager here at Insightly, and today we're going to look at the best practices for configuring your Insightly CRM. Plan for today is a look into configuring Insightly's key functionalities to ensure lasting relationships, bigger deals, and happy customers. We'll also look at the available advanced features for customizing Insightly to fit your team's needs. If you have any questions throughout today's webinar, please feel free to share them in the Q&A box, and I will try to answer as many as possible at the end of the presentation. Let's get started. Here on the customer success team, we coach and advise hundreds of accounts a month on how to configure their CRM. We always recommend starting with the foundation and customizing contact management. Then configure your leads and opportunities so you can start using Insightly to track, manage, and close deals. And lastly, configure Insightly's project function to execute on customer work or manage internal processes for your team. Once you've completed the basic configuration, we recommend looking at the advanced features like dashboards, reports, and custom objects. We offer a ton of different resources for onboarding, including the onboarding checklist you see here. It may look like a lot, but that's because it has every step you could possibly take to configure your account. It all fits on one page, so it's actually not that bad for configuring a CRM. Now, let's get started. Contact management. The foundation of Insightly CRM is the ability to quickly and easily manage the spectrum of contacts and organizations a company might work with. These could be customers or clients, vendors and suppliers, contractors, volunteers, donors whose contact information you may need, communications, and relationship details you need to track. One reason we tell people to start by customizing contact management is because it is the easiest place to get started and learn the system. The first step in adding your custom fields to contacts and organizations out of the box contacts and organizations. Out of the box, Insightly provides the fields for tracking basic contact information like name, address, phone, email, etc. However, you're going to want to add custom fields for the additional information you need to know for segmenting and reporting. Examples of fields we would recommend during a configuration would be contact type on contacts and organization type on the organization. Your contact type field lets you segment contacts by categorizations like customer or client, supplier, volunteer, donor, and vendor. Organization type lets you know similar categories, or you can add other identifiers like B2B or B2C, nonprofit or industry information. You may also want to add to the organization a lookup field for the main contact, or if you need it, a primary email address for the account, as that is not considered a standard organizational field. Once you've created the fields specific to your business, your next step is to update the page layouts for contacts and organizations to remove any fields your team will not need. Again, you want to keep the records as simple as possible in the beginning to make it easy for your team to familiarize themselves with their new CRM. And the last step is to simply import your existing contact and organizational data into the system or begin adding contact to the organizations manually. Now, let's look at how to create a custom field and update your page layouts in Insightly. Now into the system. You can see here, we're on my home dashboard. We're on my home page. It may look a little bit similar to yours. It may look a little bit different. However, the processes that we're going to go through are going to be completely the same. First step you're going to do is head over to your profile icon in the top right-hand corner. This is going to be your best friend in terms of everything configuration within Insightly. Simply go to System Settings, and the next step is going to be go to Objects and Fields. You'll be able to see all of the objects under Object Label are going to correspond directly to the objects you have on the left-hand side. For this example, let's go ahead and customize the contact object. The next step would be go to Object Fields, and you'll be able to see all of the standard and custom fields I've already built directly into the CRM. Anything identified with a check mark is going to indicate that it is a custom field yourself or the other admins of Insightly have built into the system. Everything else, such as first name, last name, mailing city, mailing postal code, are going to be the standard fields I referenced earlier that are going to come directly built into the CRM. Let's go ahead and build a custom field. You can see here, these are going to be the different items we provide for you and which you'll be able to select the custom field. For this example, let's go ahead and select a dropdown based on contact type. Field label, that's simply just going to be the name for your custom field. If you hit tab or by chance click out a field label, field name will always auto-populate, so you never have to worry about that step. Let's go ahead and enter some values. So different types of contacts I may work with, maybe government, volunteer, or commercial. And what I usually recommend, just because a lot of the times this may be an added train of thought, go ahead and sort them alphabetically. It will make it much easier for yourself and your team to find down the line. Some custom fields may be a little bit more complicated, so we give you the ability to add a description or some help text that the rest of your team can easily find. Let's go ahead and save it. Let's go ahead and go back to objects and fields, and you can see contact type 3 identified by the check mark has been created. Let's go ahead and take a look at what that would look like on your page layout. For this example, let's go ahead and click on Albert Lee. This page that pops out here is going to be what we like to call the page layout. Here, you'll be able to see the standard and custom fields directly built into the page layout. What I would like to show you now is how to customize that. Let's go ahead and go back here and let's go to page layout. Let's click the contact layout. And you can see here, the new custom type I created is automatically going to be available in the available field section. It's really simple to put it in. Simply, all you need to do is drag it over and drop it in the detail section. You can now see contact type 3 is going to be identified with a dark gray background. That's going to let you know that it is currently in the detail section. Anything identified by a light gray background, let's say, for example, if I wanted to delete this, put it back in the available field section, is going to indicate it is not in details. However, let's go ahead, drag it back in. And let's say this contact type is very important when yourself or other Insightly users are creating new contacts, or in this case, any of the other custom fields you may have on objects. Let's go to settings, and let's go ahead and make it required. You can see it is now going to be represented by a red asterisk, indicating that it is now a required field. Let's go ahead and save the page layout. And now if we go back to contacts, let's go ahead and click on Albert Lee again. And you can see here, contact type 3 has been added to the page layout. Here are 3 best practices for configuring contact management for building lasting relationships. First one, keep your fields and layouts simple. Remove the guesswork from your team and only show fields that are required to complete every record. This will make data entry and maintenance simple and drive CRM adoption among your team. For B2B companies, your contact records should only have the individual specific contact details, and anything account related should live within the organization. Two, segment your customer base. Your CRM is not only for tracking customers, so create a field or 2 that you can use to segment your database into valuable cohorts. Additionally, if you need a segment for sales or marketing purposes, those data points should be included from the beginning. Examples would be what product or service they use, what region of the world they're in, or some sort of tier system in which you use to identify valuable customers. Start reporting from the beginning. Do you hold your team to any sort of customer outreach KPIs or account management efforts? Do you need to know how many new accounts your team brought in this year, how many emails they sent, or how many meetings they've had? Sales and pipeline management. There are many ways to set up Insightly for sales, and our customers are always using amazing ways that they utilize the flexibility of Insightly to meet their business needs. The central records for sales management are leads and opportunities. You can utilize leads to qualify potential sales before converting them to Insightly contacts, organizations, and opportunities. Once a lead is qualified, you'll convert it to create an associated contact, organization, and opportunity. You'll then manage the sales process through the opportunity record. Keeping leads separate from contacts and organizations is important because it makes it clear who is and who isn't qualified. Once the lead has expressed interest in your business, for example, requesting a demo of your product, you can consider it qualified. Configuring leads and opportunities both start with customizing fields and layouts like we did for contact management. Your leads will likely be very basic, as these are people you haven't connected with yet. You should have fields on your leads that track if they are qualified or not. Simple qualification criteria could include their timeline, budget, and if they are looking for the product or service you provide. You can customize the lead sources to track where your new business is coming from, and you can customize your lead statuses to meet your team's outreach cadence. Advanced features we encourage you to use are the web delete form and the lead assignment rules. The web delete form makes adding a form to your website easy. That way, when completed, they will create a lead in your system. With lead assignment rules, you are then able to create criteria to assign the lead to the right person on your team. This greatly reduces the possibility of bottlenecks and ensures your team is reaching out to prospects before they have moved on from you. Configuring opportunities starts with the fields for capturing the details from your sales process. Here at Insightly, we have fields in our opportunities that guide our sales reps through the questions they need to ask during the sales process. We then also include fields for processing new bookings for our accounting team. If there are any custom fields you created on the lead that you also want to include on the opportunity, you can clone it to the opportunity and set up lead conversion mapping to ensure the data converts with the lead. We categorize our opportunities by what sales team it belongs to, so either new business, upsell, or renewal opportunity. Our states and reasons we use to track why we win and lose businesses. If we lose to a competitor, we want to track so that we have an opportunity reason as lost and the competitor name. Your pipeline is going to track the steps your team takes to close a deal as it progresses. Out of the box, we provide a basic example to get you started. Now, let's dive back into the CRM and create a pipeline and apply an activity set. Back into the CRM. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be going through a lot of system settings today. It is going to be very important in configuring the early stages of your CRM. System settings. What we'd like to do is go down to the bottom for data administration. Here you can see some familiar categories you may find very important to your business, such as lead status, source, and then, as we mentioned, lead conversion. These are all pretty self-explanatory. However, if you feel you need additional help or may have some questions, we have great help articles that are very detailed and go by and outline how to complete each category step by step. For this example, let's go to pipelines. You can see opportunity pipeline and project pipeline. Those are going to be the two standard ones that come out of the box with Insightly. For this example, let's go ahead and create a new one. You have the option to select if it's for opportunities, projects, or both. Let's go ahead and add that pipeline. Now, let's construct the stages. The best practice recommendation I may offer is going to be usually successful pipelines are anywhere between 3 to 7 stages. As we know, though, each use case is going to be different. So if your pipeline may be a little bit longer or maybe even a little bit shorter, that's totally fine. For this case, let's go ahead and select demo. Let's say this pipeline is directly for right after a lead is converted. For this specific case, we want to show a demo first. add the stage. The next one may be an in-person meeting if the demo was successful. Add the stage. And lastly, RFP, a request for proposal. You then have the ability to add a probability for each stage. This isn't required. However, most of the time, my accounts would like to see the probability of each stage and how close that is to closing. In this case, let's say when we're at the demo stage, 50%. In-person meeting jumps all the way up to 75%. And let's say once we hit the request for proposal, 90%. You don't have to fill it in. If you like to manually input the probability, simply leave it blank when you're completing each pipeline stage. You also have the ability to add an activity set. In this case, let's go ahead and add it for pipeline stage 2. An activity set is going to be a single or a group of tasks that you would prearrange in activity sets here under automation. And it's going to automatically generate that group of tasks or the single tasks when you enter that specific stage within the pipeline. Opportunity, save it. Now, let's go ahead, create an opportunity and attach that pipeline. New opportunity. Let's name it Brian's opportunity. Let's go to the bottom and add that pipeline, and let's leave it in the demo stage. You can see the pipeline has now been attached, and you can see the activity set is attached to step 2, indicating that I have 2 activities in this stage I need to complete. Once we select it, you can see here, the activity set is now going to populate, and you can fill in the needed information. Click Change Stage, and the activity set will now apply. Let's look at the best practices for implementing a streamlined pipeline machine. Standardize your process with pipelines and activity sets. Most sales or contract procurement processes go through stages, so create a pipeline to track where in the process your deal is. If your team is guilty of letting details fall through the cracks or missing certain checks and balances, apply tasks to your pipeline stages that will populate automatically. 2. Use workflow automation to set alerts and reminders for your teams to reduce bottlenecks. Don't let a deal fall through the cracks because someone hasn't been paying enough attention to it. Use workflow automation. You can set up reminders for your team in the form of tasks or emails to follow up or provide a status report on a deal based on its age, the date of last activity logged into the system, or even a deal size. Think of it like a trigger in action. An opportunity enters the billing stage of the pipeline, and an email goes to your finance department for processing. I'm going to show you an example of workflow automation in a little bit. I like to consider it as if-then statements. Lastly, optimize your lead qualification process using the web to lead form and lead assignment rules. Reaching out to potential new businesses is time sensitive, so you can have leads automatically added to your system using the web to lead form. Use lead assignment rules to remove the bottleneck caused by having to assign the lead to a member of your team and have the system assign leads automatically based on the criteria you set up. Project management. Once you win a deal or secure a new contract, you can convert the opportunity to a project to manage deliverables. Here at Insightly, we use projects for managing success plans similar to yours, onboarding new clients, and managing our professional service contracts. Many of our customers also use projects for executing and delivering on contracts, managing marketing campaigns, and generally making their customers very happy. You'll notice out of the box, projects are very simple because they are meant to be customized for whatever you want to use them for. First, decide what operations you want to use them for. Secondly, or a simple one, would be managing whatever happens after a contract is signed. If there are any fields in the opportunity that you need to carry over to the converted project, start by cloning the fields from the opportunity to the project. Let's create a simple workflow and send an email to managers once a project has been completed. Once you win a deal or secure a new contract, you can convert the opportunity to a project to manage deliverables. Here at Insightly, we use projects for managing success plans, much like yours, onboarding new employees, and managing our professional service contracts. Many of our customers also use projects for executing on delivering on contracts, managing marketing campaigns, and generally making their customers very happy. You'll notice out of the box, projects are very simple because they are meant to be customized for whatever you want to use them for. First, decide what operations you want to use them for. A simple one would be managing whatever happens after a contract is signed. If there are any fields in the opportunity that you need to carry over to the converted project, start by cloning the fields from the opportunity to the project. Let's create a simple workflow and send an email to the managers once a project has been completed. And we're going to be into this software one more time. Guess exactly where we're going to go? System settings. Let's go ahead and go down to workflow automation, right under the automation section within Insightly. You can see here, I have some sample ones already created. But to begin a new workflow, let's go ahead and click New Workflow Process. The process name in this case is going to be email sent to Insightly user after project has been completed. Description, I like doing these in this if-then statements. As I mentioned earlier, if a project is completed, then we send an email to the admin. Choose the record type, and remember, this is going to be based off of when a project is completed, so we want to make sure it's on the project. In evaluating the criteria, we're going to go ahead and select multiple times, but stop once the record has matched the criteria. In this case, and I would say in about 80% of the use cases within my Insightly clients, this is going to be the option you can select, or you would want to select. The first two are going to be a little bit more of a detailed conversation I would recommend having with the CSM or the Insightly support line. Let's go ahead and save it. Now, we'd be able to select the criteria that's going to make this workflow function. In this case, project is completed, and we send an email to the admin. This one's going to be a pretty simple one. Simply project status equals completed. You would then say the criteria, and you have two available actions after that. You can add a time trigger. Let's say you don't want to overload the admin with too many emails that are coming to them. I know your workflow is great. I know your workforce is great, and I'm sure they're completing all projects in a timely manner. So if you would like to delay it within a day or two, maybe an hour or two, you can add the time trigger there. After that, you can go ahead and select an immediate action. In this case, send an email. Email alert name, project has been completed. You can choose who you would like it to be from in this case. Let's go with the responsible user in charge of the project. 2, let's go to the record owner. And if you had previously set up email templates, you can choose to save yourself some time and select the email template directly from there. However, in this case, let's go ahead and build one from scratch. So, email subject, project has been completed. Hello, Ryan. Just wanted to let you know that, and then the feature I love the most about this is the option to select insert fields. That's going to be based off the object you had selected when you started the workflow, in this case, projects, and it's going to be based off the standard and custom fields you currently have in there. So in this case, record name has been completed. Let's go ahead and save that email. And now your workflow is complete. Some best practices for project management. First, map your fields so that nothing is lost in the handoff. If there are fields on the opportunity that you need to carry over to the project, clone the field from the opportunity to project and use opportunity conversion to map the two fields together. That way, when you convert the opportunity into a project, the data point converts with it. 2, create a pipeline with activity sets. Just like your opportunities, you can create a pipeline for your projects that follow a linear progression and then add tasks to the stages that auto-populate for your team. Lastly, as we just did, use workflow automation to keep your team in the loop. There are many people involved with the execution and delivery of a project. Using workflow automation, you can have progress reports sent to the necessary parties based on project age, pipeline stage, or field information. Advanced features. As you can see here, custom objects can be used for information that you want to track, but maybe doesn't fit with the Insightly standard objects. A lot of our manufacturing accounts use custom objects for tracking their inventory. Another example would be some of our real estate clients. They use their accounts to manage their properties. Another advanced feature that we're excited to share with you is our custom apps. With custom apps, you can have multiple instances of Insightly, as you can see here, and you can create the custom apps for travel, finance, partners, you name it. Plus, you can select the color scheme for your custom app. Additional resources. You have the ability to use the Insightly Help Center, the onboarding guide, in-app guides, and success webinars, much as this one, in addition to the customer care team, to help continue your use of Insightly and to make sure that yourself and your team members are on the right track. Thank you for your time and going through this session with me. I'll now go ahead and answer as many questions as I can. Now let's open the floor to some extra Q&A.